Hey tribe, how y'all doing today? Go ahead and click that subscribe, like button. You know the drill. Um, Thank you to all my new subscribers. People been popping up. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I hope you liking what you see. And if you don't like this video, I hope you stick around and see the next one because you never know. You never know. This video, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it on out there. I'm late with the video for a reason. This is Iyanla, Fix My Life, Addicted to the Struggle, and I'm late with this one for a reason. The main reason is because when I saw what the topic was, I already knew I had to be in the right headspace to watch it. I didn't look at any other reviews. People that I normally look at who review Iyanla. I didn't look at any of them because I didn't want to be biased. I wanted to stay fresh for the episode, but I also knew I wasn't ready to look at it. So let me say this. This review is going to probably be all over the place. So what I have done is given myself a time limit because I feel like I might just be a little bit everywhere. So the show was about sex workers who wanted to get out of the life, but felt trapped. Felt like they didn't have any other options. They didn't have any viable skills. They didn't know any other way to make money. That they had put themselves in a situation where, when you get to a point where it's just, it's like not being happy in your job, but not being able to afford to quit your job to look for a new job. It's like I have to keep making money to maintain myself while I look for something else. And when you're in, with the sex work, it's even worse because of that constant grind of the danger, the fear, the just that constant. I can't imagine. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine. I have always had mixed feelings about Iyanla and this show because sometimes I feel like she does more harm than good, in my opinion. Sometimes I feel like, all right, let me turn my phone off, y'all. Sometimes I feel like she picks at scabs and opens them back up, and then they start bleeding, and then she walks away. I know that she does do work with people after the fact, but some things are opened up that I just don't know how much good she actually did. And that's just my layman's opinion. Like, again, I'm in absolutely no, again, I keep telling y'all, I don't have no letters behind my name. So, well, not MD letters behind my name. So, that's just my opinion. But in this particular episode, I think she handled this episode the best that she could. I think that she gave these young women a process. I think she gave them resources after the fact. And I don't think she exploited them. Because, first of all, these women wrote her. So it wasn't like she went out and searched for these women. They came to her saying, I want to get out of this lifestyle. Will you help me? Will you help me process and heal? And will you help me? And she chose these two women. She didn't choose 50 women. She didn't do like last season. I ain't like last season when she had all them houses full of a bunch of people with a bunch of issues. And she could have very easily done an episode like this where she had a house full of prostitutes or, women. And she didn't do that. She chose two women, and I feel like that is a reasonable amount to say, I can work with you and give you one-on-one without overwhelming you. I say I don't think she exploited them because she gave us enough that we needed to know to be knowledgeable of these people's story, these young ladies' story. She didn't dwell, and I'm sure the process dwelled, but it was edited in a way that all we knew was how these young ladies became prostitutes. She asked, what's the worst night you ever had? Like, she did ask about, your first night on the streets, how many men were you with? And that was to take it to the point to say, to go to the next level. Again, she didn't dwell on that. Excuse me, I had this head cold that's, anyway. Y'all know, allergies and all that good stuff. So I apologize. But she didn't dwell on, well, did you have a pimp? How many times had you been arrested? Well, Like she didn't get into, have you been into orgies? Like she didn't go deep, which is what I was a little bit worried about. Was like, all right, I know sometimes a Iyanla can go hard, you know what I mean? But she didn't. I think she was very gentle with these young ladies. So there were two young ladies, and they're two stories. The one, Lauren, um, I want to be sensitive about this topic, y'all. Lauren, I don't think was really ready for this process. I think she thought she was. I do. I think she thought she was. I think she really wanted to do it. But just like Iyanla said, in order to work the process, you have to feel, and you have to let those feelings come up. And when they start bubbling, you can't push them back down. You gotta let them come up. And if that means you gotta cry, cry, scream, scream, cuss somebody out, beat a punch bag. I remember one time when she had one of them houses and she had a room where people could just go up there and she had where they could beat the you know what I'm talking about, the boxing bag and stuff like that, because sometimes that's what you need to do when those feelings bubble up. And so Lauren's story breaks my heart. As an educator, and as an educator who's worked in the criminal justice system, I've seen young ladies who have been trafficked. I've seen 14, 15, 16-year-old girls who had pimps. You know what I'm saying? I've heard some stories. I've seen some situations that I'm not even going to dig deep into, but just know it's not a movie. It's not a game. It's really happening. And you'd be surprised at where it's happening. And you'd be surprised how easy it happens. So I told y'all this video is all over the place. So I'm going to do the review, but I also going to do a little PSA. Because anybody who's a parent, if you're watching this video or you know somebody who's a parent who's watching this video, I want you guys to either A, forward them my video, or B, make them watch Iyanla. Because we've got to do better with our kids. I don't think people intentionally set out to be bad parents. I don't. But that doesn't change the fact that there are some bad parents out there. And there are some people that are out there that are disappointing and setting up the next generation and creating havoc with the next generation. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. But let me get back to this. So that's why I gave myself a time limit, because I know I'll be all over the place. So Lauren's story is that she was 15 years old. She ran away from home, and she said that she pretty much knew when she decided to leave home, she was going to be a prostitute. Like, that's how she was going to make her money. And she chose to leave home because she said, I was unsupervised anyway. Nobody was paying attention to me. So, she said I was hard to handle. So let you know, she probably had a little bit of an attitude. She was probably a wild child, but probably for good reason. She said that her father she had a lot of stepmothers, and that her father was a Rolling Stone, which means that it sounds like it was a lot of women in and out of her life. Her mother was homeless. She never tells why, but I feel like it was mental illness, because Iyanla asked Lauren, do you suffer from mental illness? And so I feel like maybe her mom had some mental illness issues, and that's why she was on the street. And Lauren said she suffered from depression. Okay, so that's Lauren's story. So this is a young lady now. She's now 27 years old. And she said something later on in the show about being a mother. So she has children. She's still prostituting herself. She's still, at the time of the show, she was still on the streets. In what capacity, I don't know. Because she said something about making her rent and paying her car note. So she had created an environment where she had a roof over her head and she had a car, but if she wasn't out there on the street, she wasn't paying bills. But this is a young lady that said, I'm so unhappy here. I feel so disregarded here that I know I am making a decision where I have to sell my body. But that's a better alternative to this. at 15. The other woman on the show, her name escapes me right now, but her story, she got pregnant at 15. And basically her family threw her away at that point. It was like, you're pregnant, you disappointed us, and we're done with you. We got to do better with our kids. How can you, and I don't have a child, so y'all drop it in them comments and y'all explain it to me, because I don't get it and I never will. And I don't think it's anything I want to hear what you got to say, but I don't think it's anything you can say to me to make me get it. But let me say this. What I don't understand is how you carry somebody in your womb for 9 months. How you raise it, change its diapers, wipe its snot, wipe wipe behind it. I'm trying not to cuss too much. Wipe behind it. How do you do all of those things? You nurture, you raise this child, but then you turn your back when they make a mistake? She said that when she decided not to have the abortion, her mother left her. Her family, she said that she was good in softball, and her family thought, I guess she was going, that's how they was going to all get out the hood, is that she was going to play softball in the Olympics or something to that effect or whatever, and everybody was going to live good. Like, I don't know. That's the way she made it seem. And that once she got pregnant, everybody just kind of left her. I don't get it, y'all. I don't get it. So they went through the process, and Lauren was very resistant to the process. And again, I get it. I understand. Like, you are dealing with, at this point, almost half of your life, you've been selling your body. You're 27. You ran away from home when you were 15. I can't even imagine the scenarios that she found herself in, and the things she had to do, and the time she had to fight, and the time she probably was raped, and the times that she probably was robbed. And like, I can't even imagine what this young lady has gone through. So she tried to quit a couple of times, and she was resistant, but she wasn't over the top resistant. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't yelling, and we've seen people be over the top resistant, and she wasn't that. I mean, she was very quiet. She was almost passive aggressive about it, really. But in the end, she stayed. She stayed. She was resistant to the process, but she did stay. The other woman was very much on board the whole time, to be honest with you. And I felt like she really was ready. She was really ready to deal with what she knew she had to deal with and process it. She was saying how, she hated the fact that she couldn't have her kids with her. She lived in a small town, and she said that she said she had a factory job. And when the factory closed, she still had to pay her bills. She had to make her rent. And somebody came to her and was like, girl, I know you ain't really going to want to do this, but, I mean, I got a way you can make some money. And she said she didn't want to do it, but she made a decision, and she decided to do it. And her and her girlfriend hooked up with some dudes that first night and rolled from there. Contrary to what movies show you and TV shows and stuff, ain't nobody out there selling their body because they want to be. So that's the show, honestly. And at the end, she gave him a makeover, which, of course, a makeover would give you all kinds of self-confidence. When I leave the hairdresser, when I leave the nail salon, I put on a new outfit. Like, you feel good. You feel good. Like, that's human nature. That's why we do these things. That's why we spend money on our hair and our nails, and why we spend money at the mall and all that good stuff. I was shopping for some dresses today. You know what I mean? So that's what we do to make ourselves feel good. So she gave them a makeover, and then she hooked them up with a woman who was a former sex worker who has a program in Texas. And I'm going to assume, because she sent them to Texas or arranged for them to go, I mean, I'm going to assume that she made sure that they could afford to go. You know what I mean? That other considerations were made. Like, I don't know that to be a fact, so don't put no words in my mouth. But, the one girl was already talking about she didn't know how she was going to pay her bills after she left the show. So, but now to switch gears a little bit to the PSA. Well, like I said, I think it was a good show. We got to do better with our children. And like I said, I see it from a different angle. I see our kids in school. I've dealt with kids who were put out. I've dealt with kids who were thrown away or not wanted. I dealt with kids who have dealt with abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, all that, death in the family. I've dealt with all, you check a box, I have dealt with it. I've been in education for 20 years. I have dealt with all of the above. And 18 of those 20 years, I worked in low income, they call it Title I schools. All right, so I done seen it all. And then, like I told y'all, I worked in the jail for a couple of years, so I done seen it all. And I've seen girls come through there who had pimps, who were being trafficked, who would be all of that, right? And the stories are real simple. Let me tell y'all this for all you parents who think it'll never be me, it'll never be my child. I watch my child. I know who my child's friends are. I follow their social media. All of that we think we do, all these parameters that we think we put in place to protect us from these things. Let me tell you how easy it is. And I went to a workshop on this, and this is how I know. This is how I know this story. Little girl, 15-year-old girl, got into a fight with her friends, right? Friends, for whatever, you know how girls do. For whatever reason, the girls got mad at her. So she went to the mall by herself one day, probably looking sad, maybe crying, or whatever. Boy approaches her at the mall. Cute guy, right? They get to talking and laughing and joking, and he asks her for her phone number, and she gives it to him, and they get to texting and talking and all of that. And he says, well, meet me, let's go to the movies. And there's a mall here in the DMV area. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to put too much shine on it. But there's a mall here that's connected to a hotel. It's a mall, but it's connected to a hotel. And the boy says, well, let's meet at the mall. Let's go. Let's hang out at the mall. The girl's like, okay. She thinks she got herself a little boo, right? Get to the mall. It's not the same boy. It's a man. It's an older man. And he says, oh, Johnny said meet him over in the lobby of the hotel. He, came up with some cockamamie story about, that's my son. And I asked him to run an errand for me. But he didn't want to leave you hanging. So I'm going to walk you over there to the lobby, okay? And we're going to meet him there when he comes back from doing what I asked him to do. And from there, the story just goes forward. Fast forward, this young lady has now been trafficked, and she's been trafficked for the last 3 or 4 years. Well, her 18th birthday rolls around, and she decides, I'm leaving. I'm leaving on my birthday. I don't care what I gotta do. I'm gonna get out of here on my birthday. 18th birthday rolls around, and she commits a robbery to get enough money to get a bus ticket home. Because by now they done left the area, right? They done took her away. Well, she gets arrested for the shoplifting, for the robbery. And that's how I meet her, okay? That's how I come into contact with this young lady. Because here's the thing. Up until the point where she was 17 years old, she would have been protected. Because the law in Maryland says you can't be held accountable for something when you're minor. When it comes to sex trafficking, there's some very specific laws that people have worked really hard to put in place. The problem is it doesn't extend past your 18th birthday. So the fact that this young lady had turned 18 the day before this took place, now she's a criminal. Now she's in jail. And that's how I met her, when I was working in the jails. So I say all that to say, it's just as simple and as easy as your daughter gets into a fight with her friends and goes to the mall by herself, and she's feeling vulnerable and a little bit low. And the right boy, the cute boy, walks up to her and says the right thing. So I'm not saying that to scare y'all. What I'm saying is we have to do better by our children. It's not just the parents who throwing their kids out. It's not just the parents who are too busy, with their own personal life and having 3 and 4 boyfriends. It's not just those kids. So I don't want you suburban moms to think, oh, well, won't be my children. Yes, it could. I ain't saying would. Could. No parent, I believe, wants to be a bad parent, but there are bad parents. And you gotta do better. And these children are not asked to be here. They don't ask to be here. They don't ask to be put in these situations. We got to protect our kids, and we got to listen to our kids, and we have to pay attention to what's going on around our kids. And I know I'm all over the place with this, but that episode kind of just tore me up. And it brought up all of my experiences and things that I've been through and I've seen in my travels, in my life, not just through it as an educator, but in my personal life. You know, in this era of Me Too, with the situation with Bill Cosby, I'm so sick. I ain't about to go off on no other tangent. I did it Friday. I'm not doing it again. I'm so... See, I was great cuss. I've been trying not to cuss in this video. I'm so sick of people defending Bill Cosby. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people blaming the victim. I'm sick of people saying, ooh, but they were ugly. Ooh, why they wait so long? Ooh, they was just trying to get a come up. Ooh, they knew what they was doing. They was just trying to get something. Like, they knew what they was up to. They knew what he wanted from them when they went. I'm sick of it. We got to do better. We got to stop victim shaming. We got to pay attention to our young girls. And it's not just girls that are trafficked. I know boys are trafficked too. But I'm talking to the girls right now. We got to do better, parents. All of those girls, those two young ladies had something in common, and both of them came from fatherless households. The one girl, the one young lady, her father was in jail, and the other young lady, her father, I already told you, was all over the place and had women in and out the house. So these are two young ladies who were looking for something from other men, whether they consciously knew it or not. So I have hit my time limit. You guys, it was a great episode. I think Iyanla did a really good job with this one. I don't think like I said, I don't think she went overboard. I don't think she exploited these young ladies, but I do think she told their story with dignity. I think she gave them resources. I think she gave them a process where they went through a process of identifying certain things and reasons why they did certain things, and then in the end they symbolically, like, she asked them what their street name was, and so they had a mannequin there, or like a giant paper doll, but the material was a little thicker than paper. But anyway, at the end, she allowed them to destroy that and say, you're gonna kill off her. I think it was Monroe and another name, whatever their street, Tasha, their street aliases was. And she was like, you're going to kill Monroe and Tasha today because we're going to do something better and we're going to do something different. So anyway, I think it was great. I want people to just take it a little bit serious. The reality of what our children face and what they see every day and how easy it is to get caught up. That was a little deep. I might not even upload this one. I don't know. I'm going to think on it. But if I do decide to upload it, y'all have a good one. Drop it in the comments. Tell me what you think. Peace.